Hi, my name is Abby McFarlane, and this is my Management Leader project. I chose to interview Alex Holhouse. He is the current food service manager at a Young Life camp in Minnesota. It's called Castaway Club. It's in Detroit Lakes. He's recently been promoted from Chef 2. So if you look in the picture, he's the one on the far edge in the non-orange chef coat. And then I'm right next to him. So I worked for him for 2 summers in the kitchen. So it was very cool to get to interview him on questions that maybe I have had in the past, but in a more formal way to get answers. The first step I asked him was, what steps did you take to get this position? Alex worked in food service in college. He's from West Virginia. He worked at a Panera Bread out there and then graduated with a management degree and not really sure what he wanted to do with it. Since he was 16, he was involved in the organization of Young Life and like the mission and what it stood for. So he tried going on staff, tried a few things out, and then ended up in Georgia with Young Life. He was a year-long intern and spent most of the time in the kitchen and fell in love with the kitchen. And then after his year-long internship was over, he decided to apply for a camp position and got the Chef 2 position at Castaway. And then after 3 years of working as a Chef 2, our food service manager moved to Chicago. So the opening was there, and he easily just moved up the food service manager in August. What are some of your daily managerial tasks? So since he was my boss, it was overseeing interns and dining hall bosses to make sure operations are up to standards. He'd just come in and make sure that we basically are doing our jobs and doing them well and doing them to how we were taught to do them. He makes sure that we have food in the kitchen and the right amounts. We're not overproducing or underproducing. We shoot for 100% yield, which means that we have exactly as much as we need, no more, no less. He also communicates with other departments on camp to make sure that campers are going to get to the dining hall on time, or that we're going to bring food places specific times. He also monitors meal times to make sure we're doing everything safely and by the books. He also does a lot of admin and bookkeeping work. I was never aware of this my first summer until the second summer. I asked a few more questions, and yeah, so that's what he's doing when he's sitting by his computer. And then cultivating relationships. It's so fun working for him. I do have a friendship with him, so he does that really well. The most difficult part of managing, and I see this as one of his employees, is a lot of the staff that he works with. They're not actually staff, they're volunteers. So keeping them motivated to do their job successfully, even though they have no pay. And then also creating the highest quality menu for mass amounts of people under a very strict budget. We want camp to be affordable and kids to come. What is he looking for in employees? Teachable, hard workers, mature, kind, patient, and love Jesus. Add to the community. They hire a lot of interns, and they want to make sure that the interns are part of the community and are adding stuff to it. Working hard. He said if someone has the previous qualities, you can teach them how to be successful in the kitchen. When hiring, of course, he loves when people come in with cooking experience, but it's not a deal breaker. I had like 3 weeks when he hired me, so what are the strategies that you use to improve your productivity of your employees. He does this really well. He creates systems and orders products that create an environment for interns and volunteers to be successful. And he works side by side with us. Even though he's a boss and we are his employees, he's right in there with us. No job is too good for him. So he shows us how to be a good employee. And then how important are interpersonal relationships with employees to you? I really liked this quote he said. He said, interpersonal relationships are at the very crux of what we can be successful as an operation. It is how we are able to get quality people and how we motivate them to work harder, even though the vast majority of people I oversee are working on a volunteer basis. He wants people to feel like they're being seen. What advice would he give someone? Be someone that someone wants to follow. Know your people's names, know their story, know what's important to them. Protect your people, be willing to do hard and uncomfortable things. He does that. That's Alex to a T. Management skills that have helped you lead effectively. Like I said, he's in there with us. He lets us make mistakes, and then we learn from them because he's right there. He's there to pick up the pieces, and always knows the answer. He's always prepared for the question to instill confidence in us so we can instill confidence in the servers. And then how do you manage new staff versus experienced staff? With new staff, it's hands-on again, and then working with them. And experienced staff, he gives you the confidence to go do your job successfully. And lastly, how do you effectively, clearly communicate organization goals through the chain of command? He said organizational goals are clear and communicated daily through verbal reminders, written reminders, and through culture that has a shared set of values that care about the goals that we set forth. We talk a lot about the organization as a whole and why we do what we do, because it's not always glamorous to be in the kitchen making food for 600 people 3 times a day. It can get gross, but we know why we do what we do. So that is my interview on Alex Holhaus, the food service manager at Castaway.